So I love this quote because I feel like it just fully explains the child. They want to be able to do things for themselves. And toilet learning this is their big work. Um, so, we're just there to guide them and to help them along the way. So first things first, the earlier the better. So just when they're really young, you're talking about toileting. They're seeing you use the toilet. Just from the time that they're small, they may not be able to use it themselves, but you're getting them acclimated to the idea of it. And you want to use the correct language. I know a lot of times families have different nicknames for the body parts, but really you want to try to use the correct language to explain the body parts. At school, I'll say penis or vagina, or I use the word urine and urine coming from the bladder. So I'm using all that correct um, verbiage to go that just to give them the language to use for toileting. Um, Getting a general idea of when they need to go when they're infants, but obviously you're not going to toilet learn your infant. You're just, like I said, you're getting them acclimated and used to um, just getting the exposure of using the toilet, because it's just something that we all do. We do it every day. It's just part of what we do. You could have a potty chair out just so that they can explore it and get familiar with it. Just so that, you know, they get used to the tools that are needed for toilet learning. Um, if you can change their diaper in a bathroom, that always helps as well. But that's pretty much the first step. So around 12 months, somewhere around there, you're just going to start getting them acclimated and used to what it what all the tools are for using the toilet. Um, let's see. So also looking at some of the earlier things, when your child, another way to start getting them prepared for toileting at school, like we change the children standing. This gives them a chance to be a part of the process. So it's a team effort. They're helping, they're learning to take off their diaper. It's just easier when they're standing because they can be a part of that process. And that works towards, again, this is their big work and they're involved in it. It's just not us laying them down on a mat and just doing all the work. I mean, you're talking them through it. There's a lot of language that's going on, and that you're exchanging while you're toileting. Um, so whenever they're able to stand and stand, in a stable way, and you can do that standing up. It's a little tricky at first, but it's really once you do it a couple times, it's pretty easy. I find it to be a little easier than laying them down on a mat. Um, but it is challenging at first, but after some practice, you'll get it. Whenever you can, when a child has a bowel movement, you can empty it in a toilet if it's possible, and let them see you do it. And you can just say, um, this is where the poop goes. When it goes in a toilet and we flush it down. So anytime that you can demonstrate that that's where it goes, if it's solid enough, it's always a great learning opportunity. It's a teachable moment to show them where the bowel movement goes. Letting your child see you use the toilet. I mean, that's, like I said, it's an everyday thing that we do. So it just becomes part of the routine. It's something they're familiar with. I have a lot of children that start school and they're just absolutely terrified to go towards the toilet because it's just not something that they're familiar with. So the earlier that you can start getting them familiar with the bathroom and everything that goes on in there when you're using the toilet, the better. It's always easiest, I
Tanisha, do
found.
you mind?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Do you mind
Oh, sure.
sharing what you're talking about when you're changing the child? Like, what does
Um,
it sound like?
when you're talking them through.
Yeah.
So for instance, it'll start with me asking them, let's go ahead and remove your pants. So can you push your pants down to the floor? So because being able to get their pants up and down, that's also another step of being able to work towards toilet learning. Now, pulling your pants up and down is not the only thing that shows toilet readiness, but that's one of the things I'll ask the child to pull their pants down. Typically, like in my classroom, I actually have them take them all the way off because it's an opportunity for them to practice getting their pants off and back on. Because that's actually a very tricky thing to do, to be able to maneuver and use all your different body parts to get your pants off and back on again. And then I might say, okay, we're going to go ahead and remove your diaper. Can we find the tabs on your diaper? And I'll show them where the tabs are, and I teach them how to pull the tabs. And then what will happen next is like, okay, you've got your diaper off. Can you go ahead and throw it in the trash can? So, and then, or the diaper pail or whatever it is, the receptacle that you have. So you're having this language, and I'm talking them through each step along the way. And then after they've thrown their diaper away, it's like, okay, it's time to sit on the toilet. And I'll help them get it. And they can either get on themselves, or I say, do you need help sitting on the toilet? And I may need to help them up. In a home, like at school, we have toilets that are their perfect size. So at home, you're going to have a step stool unless they're using one of those portable potties. So they may need your help getting up on the step stool and to sit on the toilet if it has one of those toilet seat adapters. So that's basically that's, and then once they're done, I'm showing them how to wipe. It's like, I'll let them know the next step. Like, okay, let's see, do you need some toilet paper? Because sometimes, it may run down their legs a little bit. And then I'll ask them, go ahead and, talk them through, okay, the toilet paper goes in the toilet and then you can flush, so then we learn how to flush. And then I will direct them to stand so that we can, okay, we're going to put your diaper on now. I have a fresh, dry diaper for you. So we're putting on the diaper. And then after the diaper is on, as I'm putting the diaper on, I may ask them, could you hold your shirt up so that I can see where to put the tabs? So, because a lot of times either like a little girl might be wearing a dress or the shirt's really long. Sometimes I can't see so that I can get the tabs in the right place for the new diaper. So I may say, oh, could you hold up your shirt for me? That's a big help. So, and then after that, I'm like, okay, you're ready to get your pants on. So then they're working on getting their pants on. So it's very simple. You're stating, it's very matter of fact. You're just stating everything that you're doing. Uh, Basically stating the obvious. So we're going to put our pants on next, so, and you're just keeping it very calm, just very, from point A to point B to point C, and they're very involved in the interaction, because this is their big work. We're just there to guide them along. Like I said, what I said before, at 12 months, you're just getting them familiar with the tools. The dressing skills is so important for them to be able to get their pants off and back on again. But that's not the only. So I've had families in the past where their children have gotten down the pants piece, and then they thought that their child was ready to toilet learn. But there's actually more that goes along with it than just getting your pants up and down. So it's really important to make sure that, and we'll go over that as we go along, what other signs of readiness there are. But not just, being able to get your pants up and down. That's not like the go ahead, let's put them in underwear signal. So let's see, that's choice of
Tanisha, hold on. I'm so sorry. There's a question in the chat.
Sure.
It's from Isra. Oh, that's Claire.
That's Claire.
That's
Yeah.
Claire. All right. They've already gone to the toilet in their diaper. Do you just ask if they want to do more? How do you handle that?
Oh, so if he's already gone if they've already gone in their diaper, So do you mean, Claire, like urine or a bowel movement or both, or?
A bowel movement. The case in our household at the moment is he fully understands when he's done one, and he can take it off beautifully, which I'm sure is down to you. But if he's done one and I take him to the bathroom and he takes his diaper off and we sit him on the toilet, do I say, would you like to do more, or?
Well, pretty much of that he's probably finished by that point, but it's still always good to just sit them on the toilet just as part of the process. So what I would do is, he's taken off the diaper, you're emptying the contents in the toilet if you can. And you're just like, oh, this is where the bowel movement goes. This is where the poop goes, or however you guys refer to whatever, bowel movements. And then you could say, let's have you sit on the toilet and see if there's anything else you need to do. So he might end up urinating. You don't know. I always, even after I clean them after a bowel movement, I'll still have them sit. Just, it's kind of like a full cycle. Do you know what I mean? So anytime I'm changing their diaper, I'm always going to have them sit. Even if I've just cleaned them after a bowel movement, I'll still have them sit just to have that full cycle. Okay. So it's still part of the routine. He may not do anything, but at least he's still knowing that, oh, I'm having my diaper changed. I'm going to sit on the toilet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions, Tamara?
No. No,
okay.
Not yet.
Okay, great. Thank you. Diapers, cloth diapers are usually the best because you want them to feel the wetness, and that allows that to happen. But disposable diapers are okay too. Trust me. I know. I personally did disposable with you have to do what's best for your family. But I'm just letting you know that cloth diapers are great at allowing the child to feel the wetness, the bowel movement, because I feel like with disposable diapers, they whisk that moisture away, so they get used to it and comfortable even if they're wet. Do you know what I mean? So the beauty of a cloth diaper is that you kind of, it's uncomfortable. You don't want them to feel comfortable sitting in urine or sitting in poop. So if you have the opportunity to use cloth diapers, I definitely recommend them. But it's, like I said, it's always okay to use disposables too. Pull-ups, I don't recommend pull-ups. It tends to, in my experience, prolong the toilet learning process. They get a muscle memory from wearing a diaper, and pull-ups are pretty much a diaper, except you just taking it off and on like a pair of underwear. But it's still a diaper. So you really want them we have to reset that muscle memory. So if you're going to go into underwear, just go into underwear, but I wouldn't do the pull-ups in between because it just makes things, because it's just like a diaper. And the thing is, your child's not going to stop to look, say, oh, am I wearing a pull-up or am I wearing underwear? So, so there's that confusion, right? So if we're ready to go into underwear, then we're going to go into underwear. I wouldn't do the in-between because it just makes things go a little sideways. Let's see, what's next? So toilet learning versus toilet training. So toilet training, which is what I grew up with, right? That's what my parents used to call it. It's adult led. It's on the adult's time. When we refer to it as toilet learning, this is actually the child's work, because it is. And I really believe that we're just there to guide them along and support them in this big work. They need to feel in control of it because it's their body, right? We all want to feel in control of our body. We're just taking their lead and their cues, and we're moving this, helping them along. So it works. It really goes much more smoothly when we allow them to be in control, because what you'll end up finding when it becomes a power struggle, or if you're starting it too soon and they're just not quite ready, you're going to get into them holding their bowel movements, which can really, I've had children hold their bowel movements for days, and that I can't even imagine. I mean, as an adult, that would probably be so uncomfortable. So I can't even begin to imagine what that must feel like for a child. So we really want to make sure that we're respecting them in this process and letting them know that they do get a say in all of it, you know, and we're just helping them along. Let's see. So the signs of readiness I was talking about. We want them to be interested in the toilet, you know, that's a big thing. You know, if your child is afraid of the toilet and doesn't want to sit on a toilet, they're not ready. You don't want to force it. You know, it's again, you don't want to get into the power struggle. You just, you can show it to them, you can talk about it, but unless they're willing to sit on it, they need some time. And it's okay. It's okay if they're over the age of 2, you know, like if they're 2, or, you know, every child moves at their own pace, and we just have to respect where they are. When they're looking to have private time, when they're having their bowel movements, that's a sign. The willingness to sit on the toilet. Again, this shouldn't be a battle. So when they're sitting on the toilet willingly and wanting to participate, that's great. That's a good sign. They need to start actually voiding into the toilet and emptying their bladder and making that connection with their body and what they're feeling like. So that we like to see all these signs falling into place. Also, this is a big thing too. If this is happening during a school year, it's really, really important that you are on the same page with your guide, because this is a partnership, right? We're here to support your child. And if they're not comfortable at school using the toilet and sitting on the toilet and voiding on the toilet, it's not going to go smoothly. So you know, we really have to make sure that we're having that open dialogue about, you know, how, I mean, because at home, so the way I see it is when a child's home, they're comfortable. So you may see them starting to urinate on the toilet much sooner than we do at school. But we really want them to be comfortable at school as well, and urinating consistently at school, so that this can be one big partnership. Because if they're not willing to sit at school or urinate, then it's just not going to go well and go smoothly. So it's so important that everybody's on the same page and that everybody is supporting the child. So make sure that you're always having this open dialogue with your guide, you know, touching base, see how they're doing at school with the toileting, and you can let them know, because even if your child is only just doing it at home, you're still on the right track. You're still keep doing it. You're still moving forward. You're still heading towards the end goal, and that's to have them in underwear. And we'll get there. We'll get there. If you, and also when you're toilet learning at home, make sure you know, have a partner. It's always easier when you have someone to tag team with. Consistency is key. Going back and forth with diapers is confusing, and it does make the process last longer. Like I know with my students, once I jump in, I don't like to go backwards unless they're severely not ready. Do you know what I mean? So once I've had that conversation with you and I think that they're capable and they're ready, I like to go forward and keep moving forward with them. Now, one of the things with this though is diapers, you might still need them for when they sleep at night, and that's okay. Some families like to just do away with the diaper altogether and jump right in. Other families choose to still keep the night diaper because their child's not staying dry all night, and that's okay. They may still need it for napping, and that's okay too. Just you have to gauge where your child is and do what's best for them. But there's no right or wrong with whether or not you eliminate the nighttime diaper or not. It's completely like where you're meeting your child where they are. And so with toilet learning, it is definitely a huge commitment. But it's a good thing. You know, it can be scary at first, but it really, they are just so capable to do this, and none of us are still in diapers, so they get it eventually. Some take longer than others, but it works. So when you're ready to jump in, you're going to kind of just focus on this for about a month or so. You're going to pick a weekend where you're not going to do anything but focusing on toilet learning. There will be lots and lots of laundry. That's a given. Just you're going to clear your schedule. You're going to just focus completely on this. I wouldn't have anything major on either side of your weekend, or however, or whenever you pick a time to do that, I would just make sure you're kind of just really focused on the toilet learning. You don't want to have too many changes going in and out of this toilet learning process, because you just need to focus on that. It's because it's such a big work for them.
Okay, Danusha, hold on.
Yes.
While there's a comma, I got a couple questions here.
Sure.
Okay, so this is from Nicole. How do you ease transition from nap, night diaper to undies?
How do you transition? I typically, you watch to see if they're staying dry. Also, another thing too is you could start limiting their liquids like an hour or so before bedtime to see if that helps with them staying dry through the night. You're just going to gauge by the diaper in the morning. If they're waking up still soaked, then probably you're still going to need a night diaper. So you're gauging nap times. You know, that window of time for nap is smaller than, sleeping 8 hours at night or however long they sleep. So you may actually end up getting rid of the nap diaper before the nighttime one. Usually the nighttime night diaper is the last to go. But yeah, you're just watching and checking the diaper and seeing if they're staying dry consistently when they get up in the morning, then there's no reason for them to have a night diaper if they're staying dry. Does that answer your question?
That I'm glad to hear that, but I actually meant more just in the context, like Franny does not like getting out of her diaper in the morning. Like she's potty trained, but she doesn't like when she wakes up from a nap or in the morning getting out of her diaper. She wants to like stay in it as long as possible. And so
Gotcha.
curious if that's common and ideas on how to ease it, because it often is like a struggle to get her into her undies.
Yeah. So that's just her, exercising her will and wanting to be in control of her body, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is my body. I want to wear a diaper. So you might want to, rather than have a power struggle, it might be just a matter of like, I have your underwear, your tone and how you present it. It might help. I mean, there's no perfect answer because you don't want to have a power struggle now. It's like, oh, you're awake, let's go use the bathroom. Do you want to pick out your underwear? Or it could be, can you take off your diaper? Or do you need me to help you take off your diaper? It could be just, just it's almost like you want them to feel in control, but you're kind of going in the back door to get what you want by giving them those choices. Like, you have underwear to put on. Can you show me how you put your underwear on? Do you think you could put some urine in the toilet? You're just kind of giving them these, it's kind of like a pep talk sort of in a way, and how you're like, I just, you're awake for your nap. It's time to use a toilet. Let's go together. Do you want to hold my hand, or do you want to walk by yourself? Or, I know I probably sound crazy, but it's, you would be amazed at how much that light tone just kind of, gets them motivated. Like, yeah, let me show you how I use the toilet, so it's just, it might be a matter of just doing that and keeping it light. Otherwise, you might just have to give her a few minutes and be like, okay, so when the timer goes, or you could use a timer, right? You say, when the timer goes off, it's time to take off your diaper. That way it's her cue and she hears it. And then she, again, is still in control. Like, oh, there's my timer. It's time for me to take off my diaper. So, I mean, you have to get creative a lot of times. If one thing doesn't work, then it's time to think of another thing. But like I said, there's no like right or wrong way to do it. There's no quick fix. It's just a matter of kind of like meeting her where she is. Because I mean, if she gets up and she's just, I don't know about you, but I'm grumpy when I get up in the morning. I'm just, I'm not a morning person, first of all, but, it just could be like, oh, you're up. I can see it's not, it's time to use the toilet. Which bathroom do you want to use? I mean, it could be just anything. Do you want to use this bathroom or this bathroom? Do you want to wear this pair of underwear or this pair of underwear? It's just keeping it very simple, very light, because they're going to feel your anxiety and do you know what I mean? They're little sponges, and they sense any bit of
Yeah.
angst that we might feel. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I hope that helps. Like I said, there's no
Yeah, no,
quick
those are
fix to
some
that,
good
but
tips. I'm gonna try the
great.
timer.
Okay,
Thanks.
perfect. You're welcome.
I have one more here, Danusha. I
Sure.
read that urinating at night is more of a biological thing. How would you advise working at night?
So with, every child is different. I would say, if you're having your child use the toilet before bed, they're not, it depends on how your child sleeps too. Cause like some children are very deep sleepers. Other children, I have other children, in the past who actually will get up in the middle of the night and use the toilet, or they'll go in and they'll wake up. I had a student last year who would go in and wake their parent up to use the bathroom. It all depends on the child. I would say,
I'm sorry, just one.
sure.
We used to. Chris just goes to bed later than I did, so he would get both the girls up right before he went to bed.
Oh,
Kind
okay.
of just pick them up out of bed, and this is just while they were transitioning,
Okay.
and have them sit on the toilet and release, even in the dark, and that really helped get them through till morning.
Oh, wow. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So.
Okay. That's great. So there's that too. Yeah, absolutely. Does that help? I'm not sure who asked the question. Is that?
That was Claire. Yeah, she says okay.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see. So preparing your environment. So when you're ready to get ready to dive into this big work with your child, setting it up is really important too, because what you want to do, like I said, since we're guiding them and just supporting them, we want to set them up to be as involved in the process as possible. So you're going to pick an area of the house, possibly a tiled area, or if you can roll up your rugs, if you don't want to have to deal with, things ending up on your rugs, you can roll them up if it's all possible. You want to be close to the bathroom, obviously. Your child can help you set up. You're going to have, as you can see in the picture here, you're going to have like a basket with some fresh clothes, some fresh underwear, because like I said, there's going to be a lot of wetting themselves and things in the beginning, but that passes. You might want to have a basket for them with like books to read. Maybe just things that they can only use when they're in the toilet, so that they're a little more special. You might want to you're going to have like a bucket or a laundry basket so that they can put their soiled clothes in that, because they're very capable at that point to take everything off and put it into the laundry basket. They can help clean up the, whatever it may, they can clean up the urine, they can help clean up, if there's a bowel movement on the floor, they can help you with all that. So you want to set everything up so that it's low for them to be able to have access to it. A toilet seat, if you do, as you can see, there's a portable potty, they can help you empty that into the toilet. So you're keeping them as involved, since this is their big work. You're keeping them involved, you're keeping everything at their level so that they can change. They can help you clean up. And you're working together. Sometimes I wouldn't expect them to just be able to do it themselves. You're helping them, and it's okay to help them. You can say, can you go get your clean underwear, or it's actually a partnership between you and your child too, right? So you just want to make sure that you've got access, you've got the stool by the big toilet, if that's how they're using it with a toilet seat adapter so that they can get up and down independently. You want them to be able to access the sink so that they can wash their hands once they're done toileting. So, it's very simple. Don't overthink it. It's just a few baskets with your clean stuff. You've got a place for the dirty stuff. You've got something to clean up the messes. And that's pretty much it. And them being able to wash their hands and get up and down off the toilet. It's really very simple. Again, this is just going to show you the different supplies. There's the toilet seat adapter, which I think is pretty, I always preferred that with my children. I had the kind, it actually, somehow it connected to the toilet and it would flip up. So when an adult needed to use the toilet, they could just flip it up so that they could use the regular toilet, and then you could flip it back down. Or you have the one that they show in the picture, I think that comes off. It's got the handles so that you can just remove it. You can see the child in the picture has a step stool to the sink so that she can wash her hands. Liquid hand soap, so that they can use easily. Again, everything that I said before, your basket of clean underwear, a basket maybe with some rags so that they can clean up, a spray bottle that they can use themselves or at least somewhat easily. A timer is always a good thing. Setting a timer for every 30 minutes to begin with, so that they hear that cue and they kind of take control of the situation when they hear the timer go off. Then they know, oh, it's time to use the toilet. Because sometimes they can try to you out when you're like, okay, it's time to use the toilet. So if you give them a timer, then they're taking control of when they have to use the toilet. Again, baskets, little special things so that they'll sit on the toilet longer. They have special books that they can look at when they're sitting on the toilet. You don't want to get into the habit of entertaining your child on the toilet because then they're going to get used to you being there and needing that. You just want them to take ownership of this big work that's theirs. Preparing your child. Again, this is a lot of the things that we talked about earlier, changing them standing up as much as possible. Emptying the contents into the toilet, talking about using the toilet, and letting them see you use the toilet. Another big thing is when you're ready to take the leap with your child and everything's falling into place, have them take them to the store and then let them pick out their underwear. There's nothing more cool than picking out your own dinosaur underwear or princesses or whatever it is how cool is that, right? So that, it makes it exciting. I would use a thinner underpants, but I know like Gerber makes those thicker layered ones, and I think those are okay. They will still feel the wetness, but they'll catch a little more. And then, when you're putting them in the underwear, we want to keep the underwear dry, so again, you're keeping your tone light and, just very matter of fact. You guys could pick a date and you can have a calendar and you can start counting down. Like the big day is coming, we're gonna go into underwear, no more diapers, and just count down. And again, you just want to keep it calm. It's just, yay, diaper day is gonna be done, and then we're gonna have underwear. It's exciting, but you don't want to make them feel pressured. It's you got to find that balance. The big day. So yeah, you're going to be like, today's a day, we're going to go get your underwear and no more diapers. You want to, maybe give them some foods that are watery, like watermelon, things that are going to encourage urination. Lots of water and things, and just encourage drinking just to keep the juices flowing. Practicing. So you can have, again, like I mentioned before, you go to the prepared environment that you have all set up and a child has helped you set up. They're going to put their diaper in the trash because you're getting ready to put on underwear. Yes. What pair of underwear are you going to start with? Are you going to put on your dinosaur underwear, or would you like to wear the ones with the trucks on them? So, you're just keeping it, you're letting them feel empowered and in control. Like, I'm going to wear my truck underwear first, so they get really excited. You can have them sit on the toilet, and before they put their underwear on, like, let's go ahead and sit and see if you can empty your bladder. And then, as they're emptying, and you can talk about, do you feel the urine leaving your body? That do you feel it, you can talk about like what they might be feeling as they are voiding into the toilet or having a bowel movement. Just all that natural language. I mean, this is a great time to just feed them lots of different language and have conversations with them. So you're also giving language lessons on top of them toilet learning, right? And having conversations with them, which is a nice thing. Wiping, that's a big one too.
Oh, hold on, Danuta,
yes.
I'm sorry, I missed a question from a couple minutes ago.
Sure.
Is the spray bottle for cleaning messes? She wants.
Yes. So the spray bottle is for them to so if they urinate on the floor, you're going to clean it up, and then it's just some kind of like natural cleaning product that they can help like to spray, and it makes it also more interesting, right? Children love to clean. So it's some kind of a cleaner that you're comfortable letting your child use. I mean, it could be water and vinegar or however, yeah. So you're using that to help clean up the messes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Wiping.
Oh, wait, one more question.
There's one more. Sure.
From Trang, what do you think is happening when the child doesn't want to get up from sitting on the toilet even when they don't go?
It's a good question. I mean, they're comfortable sitting there. I would let them sit. I've had children sit for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they're very content sitting there. But then after a while, obviously they can't sit there forever. I may say, okay, it looks like your bladder's empty, so we'll try again soon. So I may just say, okay, let's go ahead and get your underwear on. And then we'll come back and we'll try and sit on the toilet in a little bit, so I don't know what's really happening with them when they're sitting there. Some children are just very content and comfortable, and they're like, okay, this is great, but sometimes you may just have to say, you know what, we're all done. We're going to have you put on your underwear now, and we'll try again really soon. When the timer goes off, you get to sit on the toilet again. I know I must sound like a crazy person, but but it's like you're just making them feel like this is just something that we do every day, and that there's just no pressure. So I don't really have an answer as to why they would, like a real solid answer as to why they would want to sit there. I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad thing that I guess at least they're sitting and they're comfortable with it. So that's a good thing. Let's see. So wiping, I would have them practice wiping. You're still going to help them, obviously, but just getting them used to wiping. Girls, making sure, you're teaching them to wipe front to back whenever they can. Their arms are short and little, and it's awkward, and they may not be able to reach. So when the opportunity comes that you can show them to wipe front to back, that's a great time to do it, because with bacteria and everything, that's the best way for them to wipe. But you're practicing wiping with them and showing them. You're giving them a lesson on how to do it, and then letting them practice. But again, you're still checking, you're still making sure they're clean, you're still helping them, and it's okay to help them, and eventually they'll be able to be a little more efficient at doing it with time and practice, but you're still helping them as well. With the bowel movements, helping, having them try at least like 3 times, wiping 3 times to make sure that their bottom is clean. But like I said, you're still helping them, and that's okay. It's okay to help them. Always having them wash their hands afterwards. Of course, you want them to get into practice of doing
Danuta, I'm
it.
so
Yes.
sorry, you can't escape wiping that fast. Okay. Did you hear me? You can't escape wiping that fast. You have a question. How do you teach them to wipe after a bowel movement?
How do I teach? Oh, I see. Like, okay. So you want me to go step by step?
I think that's
Are you calling me out? Okay, gotcha. So what you're going to do is you're going to show them, first of all, you want to show them the proper amount of paper, because I have many children who just like to do this, right? And then you've got a wad of toilet paper on the floor and it's wasteful, right? So you're going to show them that they just need like 2 or 3 squares. You're going to show them we're going to fold it, and then you're going to show that you're going to wipe, right? You're going to wipe front to back, and then you're going to show them, oh, your bottom is dirty. And then I tend to fold it again, and then I can wipe again. And I show them each time so they see, oh, your bottom's more clean. Let's wipe it one more time and make sure that we get it really clean. And then you're going to wipe again. And then you're going to show them that it goes into the toilet. And you're going to practice this with them more than one time. Even though you're giving them that initial lesson, you're going to practice this with them each time until they're able to really ready and to try it themselves. And like I said, you're going to check afterwards. Once they're starting to do it themselves, you can check them to make sure they're clean, because you don't want their skin to still be dirty and because it can get sore, right, when you're not fully clean. But you're very simply, like, you're just showing them the amount of toilet paper that they need, showing them how to fold it, and then how to very carefully wipe their bottoms. And then, like I said, I always show them what's on the toilet paper so that they make the connection of that their bottom is dirty and that they're using the toilet paper to clean their bottom. And then each consecutive wipe, it's getting cleaner. So, and then you're putting it in the toilet, and then we're flushing it.
Can I ask even more, like,
Sure.
positioning? So my understanding is that, like with Miss Michelle, when they were in their diapers, they were bending over, touching, like taught to touch their toes. So
Yes.
like, positioning wise, like, where are they still bending over? Are they sitting on their little potty? Where are you? This is very intimidating. Intimidating to me. So sorry.
It depends on the child. A lot of times, if the child's bigger, I'll just have them, like, it's awkward when you're this is an awkward lesson. It's just, but if they're big enough and able to balance, I'll just show them how to kind of like tilt a little bit on the toilet. A lot of times they need to stand up to do it, because they're not super steady, so sitting on the toilet and wiping, it's hard to do. So a lot of times I'll have them stand, and it's kind of just, I know it's awkward and it's hard for them to reach a lot of times. So it's whatever you're finding that's easiest. If it's easier for you to show them how to do it as they're sitting on a toilet because they're kind of tilted, you can do it that way. They might be able to reach a little better if they're in a seated position than standing. But sometimes I have to have them stand because they just can't maneuver on the toilet. They'll fall. I don't want them to fall. Do you know what I mean? Falling off the toilet trying to wipe themselves.
Danuta, can I just weigh in? So I was a children's house guide, and I will tell you that we worked with anybody who is not able to really get clean wipes. We would have them squat, right? So they'd squat with their legs separate, so you can.
Okay.
I'm way less modest than Danuta, but you squat and you literally are having. So if you have your knees apart, when you squat, your butt cheeks, and you lean down, you can actually the cheeks on your bottom separate, and so then it's easier for them to get in there. The other thing that we did in children's house is we have mirrors, full-length mirrors in the bathroom, so that they can lean over and look at their bottom. So they can actually do a self-check that way as well. We highly recommend that for those of you who are working at home, is like a nice full-length mirror in the bathroom that is at their height so that they can actually see and make sure that they're clean. So that would be another recommendation.
Great.
For what it's worth.
Yeah. I've never heard of anybody using a mirror before. That's a new one for me.
Oh, actually that came from the mirror was Emily. I was just listening to her talk to a parent about it. So one of our children's house guides. Yeah.
That's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, does that help with the wiping? It is awkward, so
okay, what are the faucet extenders called? somebody's asking.
A
Claire,
faucet extender.
I think it's called a faucet extender.
I think that's, yeah, I think that, I don't think it has a special name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now you can move on.
Okay.
from wiping.
Okay. We hit washing hands. Oh, the faucet. Yeah, I don't think those have any particular special name to it, except a faucet extender. But yeah, washing their hands are so important. So having them wash their hands every time they use the toilet is good practice. Offering a choice. You're always offering a choice. Because I know I've had a lot of questions with families like, what if they just tell me no? Or, you know, they get to a point where they feel like like, please don't ask me to use the toilet one more time. Just leave me be. So I have families asking like, what do you do when they just don't want to go? You want to offer, you know, would you like to sit on the little potty or the toilet? Or, you know, do you want to pick out your underwear today? What would you like to wear? Do you, like I said before, you want to wear the dinosaurs or do you want to wear the trucks today? And then, you know, or do you want to walk to the bathroom with me or do you want to go by yourself? We could hold hands while we go to the bathroom. You could use the toilet first and then I'll use it after you. Or do you want me to go first? So it's just, you know, there's a lot of tricks you can kind of like throw in there to get them to go. Setting the timer, that, like I said before, that's always a good one. So they're hearing the cue, they're taking the initiative. I would start with every 20 to 30 minutes, and as they stay dry or longer, stretching that time out and seeing how that goes. I wouldn't ask them if they want to go because flat out they're going to tell you no. Whatever they're engaged in at that time, they're not going to want to stop. And they're not going to tell you when they can go either. That's just, they're just not. They're not, if they're playing with their Legos or their dolls, or they're not going to say, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. They're just not. It's just keeping it very, very matter of fact, very routine, very consistent with the timing. You're going to have a very, structured schedule in the beginning, and then you can, as they stay drier longer and seem to be more successful with the toileting, you can start backing off from that schedule so much. But just always remember that they're not going to tell you when they have to go, and then if you ask them, they're probably going to say no. That's so important to remember because they don't want to stop what they're doing. I usually just say, oh, it's time to use the toilet. I have a child right now who's in underwear. He's been in underwear since Thanksgiving, and that's, you know, and it's going to look different for you at home. I will tell you that I have more success at school with them using the toilet than at home because they're comfortable and they're home and they're with you, and they're going to tell you no probably more than they're going to tell me as a guide. It's because it is so built into our routine. And so I just tell this child it's time to go, and he goes, and he doesn't put up a fuss or resistance. So you know, it's definitely, it's a lot more trickier with a parent because you're their parent.
Janish, I have a question here.
Oh, sure.
Eric asked, how should you respond when they say they don't want to go and or have big emotions when you take them to the toilet and then they pee in their pants a minute or so later?
Well, it happens, you know, if they're telling you no and then they wet themselves. Again, you're not overreacting. You're staying calm, and you know, sometimes you just have to trust that they're gonna go. But if they do end up telling you no and wetting themselves, you're just like, oh, you wet your pants, now we have to go get changed. So it's like, next time, why don't we try and sit on the toilet and see if you can empty your bladder into the toilet. But you know, there's also the natural consequences to things too. I had a parent once who they couldn't get their child to go as often as they needed to, and then they would go outside to play and they would wet themselves because they couldn't get them to use the toilet before going outside. But then there's the natural consequence that, oh, we can't play right now because now we have to go inside and we have to get changed. You know, so they get it. It's hard when they tell you no and they end up wetting themselves. But I wouldn't react. I wouldn't say, see, I told you you needed to use the toilet. Like you don't want to get into all that. You're just stating like, oh, looks like your bladder was full. I think now we have to go get you changed. You've wet your pants. So you're moving on from it. And then, you just keep trying. And then, in another 30 minutes or whatever, you're gonna try and sit again. And if it gets to be very constant, and I mean, if you're having like major power struggles, it very well could be that they just weren't quite ready to start yet. Because if you're getting into major power struggles and it's stressful, they're sensing the stress, they're feeling the stress from you, and it doesn't seem to be letting up. It just could be that they just weren't quite ready, and they're not feeling in control of their body. They feel like that you're do you know what I mean? Like you're making them do something that they may not have been quite ready to start doing yet, but they might have been in the right direction and getting there, which they're always moving forward and moving in the right direction. So, I mean, it all depends. Like I said, I know I said before that, I don't like to go backwards, but I'm not going to lie and say that there haven't been instances over the years where a child just really wasn't ready. And because you don't want that, this toilet learning to become something that they're afraid of. You don't want, because this is just a natural thing that our bodies do. This is just something that we do. You don't want to, like, I don't want to say scar them. You're not scarring them, but you don't want them to have this negative idea of what toilet learning is all about. You really want to start off on a good note, and you want it to go as smoothly as we possibly can. But if they're not ready, they're not ready. And that's okay too. It happens. It doesn't happen very often, but it's okay if sometimes you just need to take a step back and let them take a breath and let them feel like, okay, this is my body. I'll let you know when I'm ready. But I hope that helps. I mean, if they're telling you no and and still wetting themselves, I wouldn't get into a power struggle. I would just state the obvious. You wet your pants, now we have to go and get changed, and just move forward from it. Does that help? I hope that helps. I hope I answered your question. So with using the timer, you're going to go into, like I said, you're going to start with the smaller increments and getting bigger, and just keeping it very matter of fact. So when they wet themselves, I wouldn't refer to them as accidents. You're stating the obvious. Oh, you wet your pants. So, I think saying it's an accident kind of gives it this negative connotation. I don't think that it's a good way to refer to it. It's a natural body function. They didn't make it to the toilet. It happens, things happen. They wet their pants. Okay, let's go get cleaned up. You don't want to hover. You just kind of want to, like I said, you're taking their lead. You're seeing how they go. They need to feel in control of this. Otherwise, you're going to have setbacks. They need to feel that they have a say in what their body is doing and what they want to do with it. So you could ask them, like, is your underwear dry or is it wet? Just very simple. Like I said, when they're wet or they have a bowel movement in their underwear, don't overreact. It's like, oh, you're soiled. Let's go get you changed. And they help you through that process, getting off their wet stuff, putting it in the dirty laundry, getting their clean stuff, and getting it cleaned, getting themselves cleaned up. So you're just keeping it really low key and laid back, and it's hard. You gotta really, be mindful of how you're reacting, because they pick up on everything.
Hold on one second, Janusha.
Yes.
There's a question.
Sure.
Can you, oh, it just got another one. Hold on. Can you tell us oh, sorry, it moved. Tell us how we know they're ready. And it's not often that they tell you. So how do you really know that they're ready?
they're ready to start toilet learning or to use the
Yeah.
toilet for toilet learning.
For toilet,
Well, I'm sorry.
for toilet learning is
Oh.
is what I guess,
Okay.
right?
So just like the readiness signs that I showed earlier, so you're going to notice that they're staying dry in their diaper. Yeah, they're not going to say, "Hey, I'm ready to go toilet learn now." You know, they're not, obviously not. Their willingness to sit on the toilet. They're going to be urinating consistently on the toilet. Not necessarily having a bowel movement, but they're at least urinating every time they sit. You want them, like I said, to be comfortable sitting on the toilet and very much participating in the process. I've had children in the past who won't even go near the toilet. So to me, that tells me they're not ready. You know, that it's something that they have to be comfortable with. But the biggest part, like my first indicator that I look for is them staying dry. The next one, you know, and then I look for them to be sitting on the toilet regularly and actually voiding into the toilet on a consistent basis. To me, those are all telltale signs that they're getting close to being ready. As I mentioned earlier, they may be doing this all at home long before they're doing it at school. I typically like to see my students doing it at school so that it's all in alignment from home as well as school, so that we're all on the same page. Does that help? It's just, we're just kind of looking for those signs.
So one, am I saying this right? Is it Hadar?
Yeah, it's Hadar.
Hadar. Okay, so Hadar says, I know for a fact that my child can hold it and he knows he should let us know when he had a bowel movement, but sometimes it almost feels like he doesn't mind that and that much, and that's why I'm not sure if he is indeed ready. So maybe what I'm asking is, what are some signs that they're not ready? If your child is aware they're going, just as a heads up, if they're aware that they're releasing, they're ready.
Yeah.
If they're aware that they're releasing into their diaper, if they're isolating themselves, if they're going into a corner, if they're playing with the toilet, those are all signs that they're ready, outside the ones that Danuta already listed as well.
So that's the curious thing about, because he's doing all those things, but then he won't go into the toilet, and when his older sister is using the toilet before the evening bath, he will sit for a second and then, you know, just get up. So not entirely sure.
So it may be that he's definitely, I think, ready, because when they start hiding and looking for that private time to have about, he's very much, definitely, like Tamara said, he's very aware of what the feeling is and what's going to be happening when he's seeking out some place to hide. So it may be just a matter of start really building the toilet into the routine of your day, so that it could be that it's just not something that is really a part of his daily routine. So it could be that you're just getting, not necessarily jumping right into underwear, but at least starting to get some kind of routine, like when he gets up. I'm sorry, is it a little boy? I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. When he gets up, he's going to sit on the toilet when he gets up in the morning. You know, and just start like incorporating it in your day so that it's just becoming more routine, that's what he does, and he'll start sitting longer as you're starting to keep it a consistent thing because I think that's part of the issue is we don't necessarily, when they're in diapers, we don't necessarily think about actually just starting to incorporate toileting just into our day, because we're not really thinking about down the road, like, oh, they're going to be in underwear. Do you know what I mean? So when a child is in diapers, we're just kind of just going through our day, when really we should really just start from the get-go incorporating them sitting on the toilet just as part of the routine, so that it just becomes a familiar thing. And then as they start sitting longer, you know, they get more comfortable and they're sitting. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Maybe you should start like incorporating it into just your everyday routine and having certain points of the day where they're sitting, or maybe after every time you're changing his diaper, you're having him sit, just so that he's making the connection, and that's just becoming familiar, and that's just what we do, right? It's just what we do every day. So that might help, just to start getting him more familiar with it, and then you can start thinking about underwear. It shouldn't take too long, to get him, when you start, doing it every day as a routine, just having them sit on the toilet, and you'll notice he'll start sitting longer and longer.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. So you want to, when your child uses the toilet, it's so easy to say, good job, you peed, you really want to just say, you sat and you peed, because it's their accomplishment. They don't really need our praise, or they don't need candy or stickers, or, you're celebrating their success of using the toilet, but they don't need our approval for that. So you're just, you sat on the toilet and peed. You did that all by yourself, so you're just letting them internalize, their pride and their sense of accomplishment of just sitting there and actually using the toilet, because it's just something that we do. So you're celebrating with them, but they don't need like the sticker chart, or you just want them to be, proud of it and understand that this is just something we do every day. Let's see, the following days. So if you can, having a I've heard many families take portable toilets with them everywhere. I think that's a fantastic idea. They didn't have that when my children were small, so I think we've always looking for bathrooms on our outings. Keeping your outings limited, so and I also I know lives get busy, but trying to keep your schedule as consistent as possible every day with the toileting. You're going to want them to use the toilet before they leave the house. You're going to want them to hopefully use it when you get to where you're arriving, maybe using it before you leave to go back home, and then having them use it again when they get home. But it's always great to have that toilet in the car, just in case. You just never know. It's a really convenient item to have. This is a suggested schedule. Oops, I'm sorry, I went too far. How do I go? How do I go back? There we go. This is just a suggested schedule. You kind of know your child best, but this is kind of like gives you a general idea of the good times to set up when they go to the toilet. And this is more of like a beginning one. So as you see them getting more used to using the toilet, you can kind of, it can be tweaked, but this is just like a general idea of what you can do as far as keeping schedules in the beginning, and keeping it consistent. The nighttime stuff, like we talked about earlier, you can choose to get rid of diapers altogether and jump right in, or you can, wait to eliminate the nighttime diaper as your child stays drier throughout the night. Or you can, what Tamara has suggested, just picking them up, taking them to the toilet, and having them go, and then laying them back down. That sounds pretty amazing to me, like a great idea. But this isn't, like I said, this is just a suggestion. So, your schedule, your child, you can tweak it as you see fit. Here's some books. There's also the Sarah Maldry book. That's a great one. I always recommend that to my parents. But these great resources for you guys to read, and also like your guide is always going to be a great resource too. As far as like, we're always here to help you with this process. We've been doing this a long time, so we've seen a lot of things. but please always ask. We're always here to help, because we want this to be a smooth process, as smooth as it can be, and we want your child to be proud of this big work that they're doing. I
Wait,
just
hold
want
on.
to,
Denise, we
go
got
back?
another question.
Oh, okay,
Just
sure,
another question.
sure.
Once you're done with the boot camp, but toilet learning is still new, how often do you prompt them to use the toilet? I think you answered that in the schedule slide, particularly if they're having regular accidents.
So you're going to have that, you're at the beginning, even after the boot camp, it's still fresh and new. You're still going to have very regular schedules. I would have the timer like doing the every 20 to 30 minutes until you're seeing that they're staying drier longer. You're going to be going still pretty frequently in the beginning, until you start noticing that they're being more successful at staying drier longer and getting to the toilet, and using it pretty regularly. So you kind of just have to gauge, and see how they're doing. But in the beginning, after the boot camp, you're still going to have a pretty regular schedule until you notice that things are really starting to progress forward and they're being more successful. Does that answer your question? Does that help?
Yeah, another
Yes.
one from here.
Sure.
We are in the thick of, this is from Nicole. We are in the thick of things right now, so I have a lot of questions. I feel like we're in a power struggle over the toilet with my daughter. How do we respond to the power struggle? And then there's another question after that too.
Okay. So when you're in the thick of it, so how far along into, yeah, actually, I want to, can I take down the power share or the PowerPoint? I
Yeah.
think that way we can answer questions. How about that?
Great, perfect.
All right. Yes. Perfect. Nicole, do you know,
Yes.
how long have you been?
Sure. And thank you for letting me ask so many questions. And this is like
Sure.
perfect timing for us. So our daughter has already finished her boot camp. She did that right about the beginning of November, and she had a 2 or 3 weeks after the boot camp where she was doing a really good job, like letting us know on her own when she needed to go, when we were out and about. But now it feels like she's kind of regressed in that she's not as consistently telling us when she needs to go, and therefore we're asking, trying to prompt her, do you need to use the toilet? Let's go use the toilet. Sometimes even like leading her over to the toilet, and she'll say no, like stop talking, or she'll throw a temper tantrum or do something, and then a few minutes later she'll end up having she'll pee her pants or something. And so it seems she's doing fine at school. It's more at home, and that's why I think it's the power struggle and not so much her inability to do it.
Okay. And how
If
old
that
is
makes
she?
sense. She's 25 months.
25 months. Okay.
So just over 2 years.
Just over 2. Okay. Yeah, power struggle, like you're definitely, you're gonna see a different child at home. I feel like at school, we really kind of luck out, right? It just, when they're home, they're comfortable, they're with you, they can be and release, at home. That's a tough one. Have you tried the timer with her?
No, that was I'm definitely getting a timer after this.
Yeah.
So that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, so I would try the timer because it sounds like she really wants, she's not feeling like she's in control.
Yeah.
And with you guys hovering too, it may be that you just kind of have to let it be. If she's going to wet herself, that's part of the process. She's going to wet herself, but then that means she's got to stop what she's doing. She's got to go get cleaned up, so at some point it's going to get very old, and as she grows and matures, it's going to click. But I would keep sticking to it, especially if she's doing really well at school. It could have been that maybe she wasn't quite ready, but it sounds like I would just keep going forward with it at this point, especially if she is being successful at school with it. So try the timer, see how that goes. Maybe that'll take the pressure off of you feeling like you have to ask her and tell her. That gives her more space to be like, oh, there's the timer. You're giving her that cue, that's, that control over, oh, it's time for me to go, and see how that goes.
And like the timer at this point, what temporal, like I saw the schedule, which is helpful in terms of framing it by meal times or snacks. So like
Right.
we feed her every like 2 to 2.5 hours. So is that how long am I waiting that long, or should it be a timer like when we're at home every hour that we're checking, every 2 hours?
How often is she, so how often are you finding that she's wetting herself? Do you think it, like, how long is she going before she's,
I think it depends on how much she's drinking.
okay,
So
well,
sometimes it can be, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Other times it's much more frequent if she just had water or a snack or something.
you may just want to start off with the 30 minutes and see how it goes.
Okay.
And you can always change it. If that seems to be too much, you can always stretch it out. But I would start with the 30 minutes and then kind of go from there.
Okay. Thank you. I
Okay,
really
you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Danusha, another question. What if they ask to use the toilet to avoid something that they don't want to do, like nap time? That's from Kayla.
Oh, I have that happen. That's it. So that does happen. It can be a stalling mechanism, absolutely, just like asking for a drink or anything else. I would just have them use the toilet, and you have to at some point be like, okay, we're all done now. It's time to lay down. I would, if obviously it sounds like you're on to that, right? But at the same time, it's tough, because what if they really do need to go? So it's kind of like crying wolf in a way. But if they're asking to use the toilet, I would go ahead and let them use it. But if it's getting to be like 2 and 3 and 4 times, I mean, you can say, we're going to try again after your nap, when you get up, you're going to get to use the toilet again. So, that's a tough one when they don't want to nap. I mean, that's like, that's hard when when they're looking for reasons not to lay down for a nap. But I would just say, we've already used the toilet. It's time to go lay down. You can use it again when you get up, kind of a thing. So, you just kind of have to cut them off at some point, because otherwise they're going to be sitting on the toilet the entire nap and the nap is over. So you just kind of have to just let them know that they're going to use it again when they get up from their nap, or their rest time, or whatever it is that they're doing. Are there any other questions?
Dominique wants to know about the slides. I think I have everybody on the list who's here, and I've got Dominique here. I don't know if we're happy to share these. They do have photos in them that are not they're designed for sharing with our community, but not necessarily out in the wide world. So that's the caveat I'm going to give y'all. So.
Okay, can we have the text only slides then? Well, not
Sure.
to share.
Oh, you can. I'm happy to give you
the.
the slides. I think you should have the slides, because, I mean, we can take out some of the children photos, because you're going to want to have the environments, photos of the environments too. That helps.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we could just take the children's pictures out. Yeah.
Yeah. Look
Any
for
other
that. You know what, guys? Look for that in the week ahead. If you give us the week and the look ahead for families, that'll work.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see any other questions. Are there any questions that we missed? If not, that is perfect timing. That's amazing. 6 minutes to spare. Well, this is the first time Danusha has ever presented all by herself for the whole school community. I think we have to give her a big
I don't want to do it again. I'm one and done.
You did a great job. Congratulations.
You don't realize how much you talk with your hands
until you see them.
Until you see it.
I was going to ask you for the wiping demo.
I know, right? Did you see her sweating on that one?
You called me out on that one, but I thank you for demonstrating for me, because I wouldn't have been able to do it.
When I used to give this, I would wear pants and I would sit and try to, I would use a pair of like shorts to try to show how to pull up give them a lesson on how to put on their underwear, right?
Mhm.
You can't do that on Zoom. There's no way. There's no way to do that on Zoom.
No. Oh, God. So you would actually, oh, I see what you're saying. You would pants and then shorts on top. Okay. I don't
Yeah,
think I'd
because
be
the
able to
first
do
time
it.
I was gonna try to show them and I wore a skirt and I was like, this is not gonna work. So
Well, thank you everybody for coming. I appreciate it, for your patience with me presenting, and we're all here. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out.